Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hello Word. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for another exciting exploration of the English language. Today's word is civilian. Civilian, as a noun, refers to a person who is not a member of the armed forces or the police. It's a crucial term for distinguishing between those involved in combat or law enforcement and the general public. In everyday language, we use civilian to differentiate between people in uniform, like soldiers or police officers, and those who are not. For instance, you might hear someone say, "The soldiers were careful to avoid harming any civilians during the operation." It's all about specifying who isn't part of the military or law enforcement. Let's delve into some synonyms that share a similar meaning. One synonym is non-combatant. A non-combatant is someone who is not directly involved in fighting during a conflict. For example, international law protects non-combatants during times of war. Another synonym is layperson. Layperson can refer to someone who is not an expert in a particular field, but in the context of discussing military affairs, it can also imply someone who is not a member of the armed forces. You could say, as a layperson, "I don't fully understand the complexities of military strategy." We also have non-military. It is simple and effective to replace civilian. For example, the government provided aid to the non-military population after the earthquake. Another option is public. For example, the event was open to the general public. Now, let's explore some antonyms, words with opposite meanings. A clear antonym for civilian is military. The military refers to the armed forces of a country. For example, he served in the military for 10 years. Another antonym is soldier. A soldier is a member of an army. For example, the soldier received a medal for bravery. We can also consider officer as an antonym, as an officer holds a position of authority in the armed forces or police. For example, the police officer directed traffic at the scene of the accident. Another useful antonym is serviceman. A serviceman is a man who is a member of the armed forces. For example, the serviceman was deployed overseas. The term law enforcement can also be considered in the opposite sense. For example, the law enforcement authorities apprehended the suspect. So, how can you use civilian in your everyday life? Imagine you're discussing a news report about a conflict. You might say, "The reporter emphasized the importance of protecting civilians in the war zone." Or perhaps you're talking about the different roles people play in society. It's important for both civilians and members of the military to work together for the good of the country. You could also use it when describing a job. "I work as a civilian contractor for the Department of Defense." It is also useful in safety instruction, such as civilians should be educated about fire safety protocol. Here are some more usage examples in sentences and phrases. The government is committed to protecting civilian lives. The attack resulted in numerous civilian casualties. The program aims to train civilians in emergency preparedness. He transitioned from a civilian career to a career in the armed forces. The company provides services to both the military and civilian sectors. Civilian control of the military is a fundamental principle of democracy. The new policy will affect all civilian employees. The term is also important in the phrases such as civilian clothes for when one is not wearing uniform and civilian population to describe the non-military population. Another example can be, "The civilian population was evacuated before the storm hit." Let's recap. Civilian means a person who is not a member of the armed forces or police. Synonyms include non-combatant, layperson, non-military, and public. Antonyms include military, soldier, officer, serviceman, and law enforcement. We've explored how to use civilian in everyday conversation and seen it in various contexts. Thank you for joining me on Hello Word today. I hope you found this exploration of the word civilian helpful. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your support helps others discover our show and learn about the fascinating world of words. Now, I encourage you to create your own sentence using the word civilian and share it as a comment below. I'm excited to see your creative examples. Until next time, keep exploring the English language.